Good morning. Welcome to the first of a couple of short podcasts on using the software Word. As you can see right now, I have launched the program and I find myself in front of a first interface asking whether I would like to open a new document or open an existing document. Down here would be a list of documents that I would have most recently worked on. And up here horizontally is basically the options of opening a blank document, a brand new blank one, or using some of their existing templates. I'm going to go for the blank document. And I'm going to double click, same thing as opening new. I find myself in front of the said document. Up on top is my menu bar with very standard menus like home, insert, design, layout, review, and so on and so forth. The other thing you may have noticed is that my cursor, when this page first opened, kind of landed exactly where we have our margins. All pages on Word have pre-existing margins placed on them. And that would be a first thing that if you were working a research document for any of your language classes or your humanities classes, you would have to be sure that the layout is respecting the guidelines of the college. And so I would suggest that you always go into layout and take a look at the margins and make sure that they are corresponding to the ones that are required by any college or university. And they're all a little bit different. So while you have predetermined one here, you can also create customized ones. Orientation is basically either working in portrait or landscape. Size of page, as you know, letter, although in centimeters ends up being 8.5 by 11. You've got legal, which are the two basic standard ones. Column, I'm going to show you how at this point in time it's just one column of text, but in fact, in another podcast, I'm going to show you how you can actually create two columns of text. Three is not really something that for this kind of document you could use because the length of lines would be too short. I'm going to start by simply placing my name and showing you what are some of the standard things we can do with typeface. To obtain some of the functions that you can use to define your typeface. You can either highlight, and then normally you have this pop-up menu giving you a summary of certain options that you can do, namely bolding what you have existent or italicizing. Underlining is not something we use very much of, but you could underline. If it happened to be a word that you weren't sure of the spelling and you're just writing and you're in a creative flow, you could definitely highlight in many different colors, as you can see by clicking on that V, or not, but the option is there. If you want to reverse, you always just can do a Control Z. Otherwise, you also have your larger drop-down home menu, and you can see that you have functions that are grouped together. Here you have font, so the college privileges Arial, for example. I'm going to remove the italicize and the bold. I will put just a little bit of text here. I just came up with these two silly really sentences right now, but all I want to do is get a little bit of text going so I can show you how to format some text. Okay, this is good enough. So I believe for titles, the college may very well be asking a point size of 12, perhaps bigger. Often titles will be in bold, but when you get into the paragraph, the type size, to my knowledge, the font size is either 11 or 10. The college prefers also that it be double line spacing so that it's easier to read. You keep it in black as a rule. Here you have your alignments of your paragraph. So far I've used the line spacing under the paragraph sections. Right now I am flush left, ragged right. Sometimes students privilege a justified appearance, meaning that word is going to take the first and the last word of this entire sentence. All these words will be basically interspaced so that it goes from the flush left to the flush right. So it makes sort of like a perfect square if the whole thing were full of text. Also, something else that you may want to take a look at is, and I just want to make sure, if you had some text that you would like to bring, to separate from the remaining text, you have the ability. It will take the whole paragraph, move it to the right, or you can bring it back to the left. Say you were talking about a citation and it was a very long citation, you could do that. Also, for page layout, as a rule, when you're working a report, for example, there are a couple things that are standard. One of them is a page number. So I want to remind you that when you're inserting page number, you need to go to the Insert menu. And here under Header and Footer, you will find that you can put your page number and select literally whether it's top of page, bottom of page. They have some predetermined templates that you can select. So I'll just use this for example. When it applies, you're going to note that the footer is open and you can actually select the information, because if, for example, you are formatting your text in Arial, then so should your footer, for example, and your page number. So I'm going to come up here to Arial. I'm also going to make it smaller. In my opinion, page numbering should be smaller than the actual paragraph. So I'm going to go with 9. And if I'd like to give a different color to my text, to this part, because I don't want it to be nearly as bold as the titles and the paragraphs, I might come here and give it a little charcoal gray, just a nudge lighter. And when I'm done, all I have to do is double click above the footer and it will close. All right. And when I want to go and change something again, I double click on the footer and it will activate and open. Okay. I mean, you also have the opportunity to place, if you wish, in insert a header or footer would be, for example, if you had several sections to a research paper and you'd like to define the sections in a footer. So you would have a business plan where you would talk about product development for 5 pages. You might, for example, put in the header or footer product development. Then if for the next 5 pages you would have feasibility, financial feasibility, well then you could change it up and put that header or in the footer. I believe that for a starter, this gives you sort of like some basic page layout. What's very important is always to save, file, save as a first time somewhere. When you select save as, it allows you to go into your hard drive and to select which folder you would like to save your document. You obviously have the options once you've done that to also save as a PDF, and you have the options to print. So this is a first podcast on using Word.